Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I am very excited, very honored here to have with me Mr. Ronnie D'Addario, who is promoting a new record that just came out not too long ago called Uncovered. And it sounds like a very exciting project. I know it's currently available for purchase on CD, so I highly recommend you go ahead and do that if you don't do anything else. Go purchase Ronnie's CD and let me know what you think about it. So again, Ronnie, thank you so much for coming on with me and talking for a few minutes.
Thank you.
All right. So the what's interesting about this record is there are so many cool covers that are in the track listing, and they range from so many different types of styles, especially pulling from Oscar Hammerstein to some folk songs. So tell me a little bit about where some of those cover songs came from.
Well, uh, a lot of people were surprised that I came out with an album this soon after the Written by album, which my boys, the Lemon Twigs, had done a whole album of my material, and it what it really was is I had written two new songs that I liked. Uh, Here by My Side, which I wrote, and A Ways to Go, which I wrote with Michael D'Addario, our first collaboration. And I wanted to get those out, and I realized that I had about some covers that I had done over the last 2 years that were all recorded with a similar sound and went together nicely as an album. So it was really, I was listening to them and I liked the versions. And even though I don't usually do many covers on my records, um, I did it for this, just to have an album. And the singles would be the two original songs. I also had a song that I'd written that appeared on the Take in a Show album from 1975, but it never had drums and piano on it. And Michael added drums to it, and Brian added piano, which was really hard, but they managed to pull it off because I had not done that to a click. So I could have slowed down or sped up without knowing it, and they managed to stay in time. That was the first song we did for the Written by album, but we decided not to put it on there. So I put it on that. Um, and those songs, the question was, I always loved Michael Row Your Boat Ashore because that's the one song I remember that really hit me as a kid, pre Beatles.
Mhm.
There's Beatles 1964, where I remembered everything, and then there's pre Beatles, which when I was that young, I could only remember certain things, and that was a big thing for me. So I always liked that song. Um, then there was a song from the show Damn Yankees, which was very obscure, called "Goodbye Old Gal," "Goodbye Old Girl," and so I decided to cover that in a less show tune way and a more modern way. When I say modern, I mean modern in terms of, well, at least I'm up to the 60s or 70s. It wouldn't be modern as you'd think today,
Right.
but it's more for a sort of a MOR rock audience than a show tune. So I always loved that song, and I decided to do that. Uh, Cruisin' Music by the Raspberries by Eric Carmen was something that I had recorded recently for tribute, the Raspberries tribute album
Yeah.
that Fernando Perdomo and Ken Sharp had put together. So I put that on as well, after giving the Raspberries tribute a chance to do what they did. So I didn't think it would really compete with that. Um, Always loved 500 Miles, which is a folk tune. Shadow of Your Smile, I love that tune by Johnny Mandel. That was the title song of what movie? The shadow of your smile. Da, da, da. Anyway, so it
Hmm.
seems like a pretty a mellow album. Not that my stuff is like, heavy metal,
Sure.
although I've done some heavy stuff. But this is a particularly mellow outing. So let me see. I mean, I have it right here. You know what I did? I've got it right here. I knew that I'd be asked questions, and when I've done podcasts before, I can never think of anything. So I see these out so that, hey, glasses,
Fully
so that,
prepared. Yeah.
so that I could look at them. Devoted to You was the Everly Brothers
Yeah.
tune.
Boodler
I love.
Bryant.
Yeah, and let's see. The Christian Life was a song by the Leuven Brothers
Yeah.
that Michael's old girlfriend turned me on to, actually, the Leuven Brothers. And I love their harmony. I didn't even know that the Byrds had done it, but actually, till after I did it. So I hope people would say, "Oh, you're doing what the Byrds did," but I
Yeah.
didn't
From
know.
Sweetheart of the Rodeo. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right, very good. I didn't know that. So, but I always liked the way, like with the Everly Brothers, and also like with Lennon McCartney, the way their harmonies, the two-part harmonies, would move in different directions. Like in the Leuven Brothers, I like the Christian life.
Hmm.
He holds the same note, and
Yeah.
then the other one, I love the Christian life. So he's going
Uh,
life, while the other
yeah.
one's life. And I always noticed that in I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, the Beatles do that in I don't want to spoil the party, so I'll go. And then
Go. Yeah.
I don't want to spoil the party, so I'll go. They
Yeah.
do the exact same notes. And I hope I'm not getting too
No,
musician.
I'm loving the. It's fascinating that you took it from the Leuven brothers, because that was on
Oh,
their album "Satan Is Real," which has
yeah,
that very interesting album cover with
yes,
the cardboard cutout devil behind them with the burning tires. It's one of my favorite albums.
it's a
Um,
classic.
it's great, and the Birds cover. I love "Sweetheart of the Rodeo." It's my favorite Birds record, and so when I saw that you were doing that, to me I'm like, great, that's perfect. But it's fascinating that it was the other way for you.
Yeah, and I got my friend Bob Mastro, which isn't on the Leuven's recording, and I don't even know if it's on the Birds because I'm not that familiar with the Birds recording. But my friend plays pedal steel and violin,
Okay.
so he had three fiddles on it, and he did pedal steel, which makes it different.
It makes it, yeah.
I pretty much stuck to the harmonies of the Leuven's because you can't really better that.
Right.
Um, so that's the deal with that one. Let me see what else I got here.
And then you also did the song "Over and Over." Can you tell
Oh
me
yeah,
about that?
that's a song that a few bands that I've been in, we always did live, and so I just decided to do it. And I had a B flat harmonica, and so we did it in B flat, which I think the DC5 do it in, and I'm doing the same harmonica break. I didn't differ that much from the Dave Clark Five. I know I didn't do the original one before the Dave Clark Five, which didn't have that drum fill. It had
Right.
like a stand-up bass, doom, 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 something like
Yeah.
that. And so, although I do bring out probably the harmonies more than the Dave Clark Five.
Because the Dave Clark production was always so muddy that it was hard to kind of pull one. It was almost like that Phil Spector kind of sound with their recordings.
Yeah, it had a big, powerful sound. And Dave Clark, he was normally in the control room producing it. He would have rather have been there than playing drums on it.
Sure.
So he didn't even play drums on a lot of those hits because he wanted. In those days, it didn't really matter. The rest of the guys, I believe, were on it, but he wanted to be in the studio to hear how it sounded. Who's that English drummer that everyone used back then in England? Oh, I know people watching this would know, but I forgot the name.
Yeah. Comment. Yes. Somebody's going to comment.
Yeah, but he played on a lot of stuff. It was
Okay.
like Hal Blaine, who played in the
Right.
U.S. in the Wrecking Crew.
Sure.
Well, this guy was that drummer in
Okay.
England. Um, so I think that takes care of that album. The album cover is from this is a picture when I was a kid. My mom, we lived in the theater district in Manhattan. So my mom took me to a lot of Broadway shows. And one of the Broadway shows was called Baker Street. It was a musical about Sherlock Holmes starring Fritz Weaver.
Okay.
And so they had the hats for sale in the audience. So I bought the hat. And then I was looking at this photo. And then I came up with, because of all the covers on the album, I came up with the name Uncovered
Sure.
because I needed a name, and I said, "Oh, Uncovered." That's kind of like discovering something. So that this picture came to mind, the Sherlock Holmes thing.
It's a
And,
fantastic photo.
oh, thanks. And on the inside of the album, I've got his door, 21 221B, which
Right.
was his address. So the album has nothing to do with Sherlock Holmes. It's not about Holmes, but
Well,
it's
that's,
just
I mean,
a
some of
cover
the
and
best album covers, they don't necessarily make sense with the music, but they're cool. It works for the feel of it. So that
yeah, it's
works.
basically an hour album cover and a name, basically.
So tell
So
me a little bit about the actual recording. When did this idea kind of start? Because like you said, for those that don't know, there was an album that came out originally for Record Store Day called Written By that your sons, the Lemon Twigs, compiled, you worked on with them, and it's got a slew. Look at that. Again, he's done his own research. So,
and all what's good about this is I can see when it glares, so I can avoid
oh,
the.
sure, yeah. Make it very artsy. But it's got some fantastic guest stars on it. A lot of whom you know. I know you're friends with Darian Sahanaja
Yes,
as well as who plays, for those that don't know, played for years with the Wondermints, Brian Wilson's band. He's now with Al Jardine of the Beach Boys.
the nicest guy in the world, and very talented.
Oh, he's wonderful. He can do anything.
Yeah,
And I
and
know that they
Probin Gregory as well.
Probin Gregory, yeah,
Yeah,
a big name in the Beach Boys world.
yeah, and he did some great horn parts on a song called "Be Like Him." Uh, those were his parts. Uh, Brian and Darian did some great harmony parts, and those were his parts. So I didn't just have the parts and say do this. Uh, I mean, I do harmony parts at the end, where those are my parts, but the whole counterpoint harmony that's happening in the break is Darian's. And actually, Brian, that's the one song on the Written By album that they tried to stick to my arrangements, the boys, but that's the one song that they did completely different. They did a completely different feel. I had kind of like a Mr. Blue Sky type feel. How
Sure.
can we make this the better? That kind of thing. And they went like, they did, and it reminded me of Herb Alpert.
Yeah.
Reminded me of a Herb Alpert type feel. So all I said to Probin was, Brian and Michael did this kind of like a Herb Alpert type thing. So I could hear trumpets with kind of short notes, bup, 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 kind of thing. And that's all I said to him. And they did a fabulous job, both of them.
Yeah, it was constantly on my turntable. It was one of those records that I couldn't find it in my local shop, so I had a buddy of mine pick it up and send it to me from his shop out of state. And I listened to it a lot. Actually, I just listened to the song 5th of July, obviously, on the 5th of July.
So, yeah, I posted that on Facebook. On the 5th of July.
It's a wonderful tune. And again, all sorts of other guests. I mean, you have Matt Jardine, who's Al's son, who does one of my favorite songs on the record, Don't Wait for Yesterday.
Yeah, we asked him to do the vocal. He ended up giving us not only the lead vocal, but he did 4 harmony parts
Yeah.
and doubled them, which means that he sang 8 times doing the harmonies, and he did the lead vocal. Brian thought that it might be a nice idea if I did the first verse, the lead vocal, and Matt did the second verse. I was going to have Matt in both verses, but Brian kind of talked me into it. And all these guys like Matt and Todd,
Mm-hmm.
they
Todd
did.
Rundgren.
Yeah, when we asked them, they did it so quickly, right away. It's not like we had to wait and wait for weeks. They were so nice about it, and they also stuck to the melody. You know, a lot of times people, especially nowadays, these kids today,
These kids.
especially nowadays, you know, they take liberties with the melody, and you barely recognize the tune anymore. But Todd stuck to the melody, and I see the patterns.
Hmm.
In fact, I wouldn't have even minded at the end if he did one of his Todd things, you know, where once he established the melody, you know, and things that he always does, his R&B riffing type thing. But he didn't, and that was fine. So he did a great job, and he just got back to us within a week. And same with Matt. And Matt DeMarco, he did a fine job on. Well, maybe I'll wait till you ask me about that.
No, I mean this is great because, like I said, I could talk about these guys and that record for forever. Because again, you also had Sean and O'Lennon, who him and Todd have worked with your sons from really since the beginning of their career. Tell me about that.
That's another super nice guy, and very talented, more talented than you would think. He really, and the kids noticed it too. I mean, he knows his theory. He knows his music theory. And when the kids recorded with him at his place upstate, where he's got his studio, he made some nice suggestions, some good suggestions on the songs that they did. And he's a real nice guy. You know, you meet him, and it's like he gives you a hug, like he's known you forever. He, doesn't have any, what is it, airs or anything like that. Mm-hmm. Brian had like a little medical issue with his blood count, his white cells, and Sean knew about it, and he right off the bat said, I know a doctor, I know this, I know that. Wow. He wanted to help out. So he's a real generous and nice guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, it's that's always the best, it's the whole adage, don't meet your heroes. But when it's somebody like Sean, who there are people that I know that have met him as well, and they always say the same thing. Like, he's like, let me take a picture with you. It's not like, can I take a picture with you, Sean? He initiates it, which is great, because I think he's one of these people, again, he carries the weight of that last name.
Yeah.
And I think he knows people know who he is, and says, I'll bring it down to earth. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, the first time I ever met him, or they ever met him, the kids were doing some gig at a posh Montauk party, and they had Sean DJing, and the kids played their own material, which is kind of weird for a party. Usually you want covers, and they weren't like that known. So at that point, I mean, their songs weren't that known. So they were doing a set of their material. And then in the break, I'm just sitting down, and Sean sits right next to me and starts talking to me, and I was like, whoa, but then I got used to it, So he did a nice job on So That's How It Is.
Yeah.
And he did a harmony to it. And I sang some with him as well. So that was good. Everybody came through really nicely. There was nobody who we thought, ooh, that didn't make it. How are we going to tell them? Or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, I mean, with your career, so much has come up in the last few years for you with, your songs are appearing on big TV shows like New Girl, Only Murders in the Building.
Yeah.
Was that a surprise to you, or is that something that you were working hand in hand with at the time?
It's a surprise that you know all this stuff. This is good.
I have my own versions of CDs here, so
I'm. You like Bob Costas? That's an old name.
No, I know Bob. I know Bob Costas. It's the Olympics.
The guest of the guest knew. He almost went overboard with it, but yeah. What happened with New Girl? That was the first TV cover I ever had, and that came through the kids when they were very young. They might have just had their first album out or second album, and somehow the office, the supervisor's name was Manish Ravel.
Okay.
And he's a big music supervisor, and he had the kids. He was talking about getting the kids song in some shows, and the kids said, "Oh, you should hear our dad stuff. He's even better than us."
Wow.
I don't know if they'd think that today, because
those are good sons.
Yeah. They've gotten so good. Their last 3 albums, and even then they were great. But they've really gotten good. It's more sophisticated and stuff.
No, great.
And then so Manish Ravel decided to put on "Taking a Show," which I had recorded in 1975.
Wow.
And so that ended up in a scene in New Girl, and he gave me this huge check and didn't even take a percentage of it, because usually you don't get right with a music supervisor. There's usually somebody, a middleman in between, that gets your stuff to somebody, and then they take half.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is fine too, however you can do it. But so that's how that happened. That's how that first one happened. And the others was just through various, people that do that.
Right.
That's their job. That's what they do.
Well, I mean, I think that says a lot, because I was a big fan of New Girl when it was a show. It was actually one of my COVID binge watch shows with my family, and I learned there was so much music in that show, just little clips and snippets. So it's fantastic that you were a part of that.
Sometimes on those shows, you can barely hear it. It's just in the background,
right?
You say to yourself, "Geez, they could have put anything back there if it's going to be that low." There was one exception, which was what's it called? Something to do with money. The woman from SNL who has a show, a TV show. She's rich, and what is the name of that? Anyway,
I don't remember.
There's a scene with llamas in it.
Okay. Yeah.
And they have "Here We Are Again" from that album pretty loud. So that was an exception. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's got to be a weird feeling. I mean, I know it. It used to be the cool thing was you can hear a song on the radio, and now it's like TV has become the new, and streaming have become the new main formats of watching. So especially these shows that get revivals, like shows like The Office, which was huge when it was out, but then got a second boost when it hit streaming, and New Girl was kind of the same way. So your songs, that's like a 10-year cycle of that song coming back around.
Yeah, because not only do you get your initial check from the person, but you get ASCAP royalties.
Sure, yeah.
Which is kind of nice to have. And have you ever seen the movie The Clove Hitch Killer with Dylan McDermott?
Mm-hmm.
Really good movie. there's a song that I have in that called Yesterday's News, and that is very featured in it. It's by itself.
Okay.
It's beginning, it's in two other parts. There's this very strange scene where Dylan McDermott is dressing up in drag,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason they're playing my song really loud. I really didn't know how it fit in.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just a song that either he had playing or was in the soundtrack for some reason. But that's very featured. Actually, you should see that movie just because it's a really good movie and very scary.
Okay.
Dylan McDermott is a father, and he's got his family, and he's got this other life as well.
That sounds like a recommendation to me.
Yeah.
In terms of recording for you now, again, you had the written by, and now you have Uncovered, and you've put out a ton of albums. What is that like at this point in your career? Like, are you recording mostly? Are you doing a lot from home? Are you doing studio recordings? What is recording like for you in 2025, 2026?
Well, I've been doing it from home for years.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I discovered digital recording, because for years I recorded analog between the sound on sound stuff when I was in high school, and then going from a 2-track machine to a cassette machine, and then going back, playing at the same time with the cassette, and then getting a 4-track, which is what I did the first Take in a Show on 4-track. The kids really liked that album for some reason. And then I got an 8-track for the Falling for Love album, but I recorded everything to a click on the 8-track, but I didn't have a piano or drums. So I booked 2 weeks in a Connecticut studio where they had drums and a piano, and played drums to my instruments. And I figured, my theory was, if I play those to a click, then I should be able to play in. I was able to play in time, but it was a backwards way of doing it, because even if you're playing drums to a click, it's better you do those first and then you play everything along to the drums, not the other way around.
Right.
The Take in the Show album was the proper way that I did it. But I did it because of my track limitations and my studio limitations. So the minute I discovered, which was 24 years ago, digital audio, that's what I stuck with, because I could have all the tracks I wanted. The kids love analog, by the way.
I was gonna call you out a little bit because your sons love analog so much, and it's kind of reversed, that they're doing that, and you're saying you can have it. I'll take the digital.
I know. It's funny. They're younger, but they like the analog. I'm older and I like the digital. It's just that I had experienced all this stuff, and when they were doing audio, I was showing them, when they recorded the 2-track, how to edit with the razor blade and put it between the tapes. And so they're very retro, but they have better equipment than I could ever afford back then. They have 24-track. They have a 24-track machine, which I never had, and they have a 16-track machine, which they just bought. I don't know why they have 24, why they would need 16, but Michael likes all that stuff. Brian's a little more adept at digital, and Michael's more adept at analog. Okay. So Michael ends up doing the bulk of the engineering in the studio, although Brian's done it too.
Sure.
And sometimes they work together, and sometimes they work separately in the studio, do their own engineering. And I'll tell you, after writing the songs, and this is for me and them, after writing the songs and all that, and playing the instruments, having to engineer yourself too gets very tiring. And it's even more exhausting for me now that I'm older. Fortunately, I can record for 3 hours and then go take a nap and go back. Whereas they'll record for 9 hours, which I used to do. I mean, I used to be in that mode.
You put in the hours already.
Oh yeah, when you're young, you do all that stuff. Plus, they tour and they write. That's why our album, written by, took 6 years to do.
Wow.
It was their idea initially when they weren't as busy, and they were the ones that wanted to do it. And then as they got more and more prolific in their writing, and they had to tour to promote the albums, and then their own writing, they write. They're very productive. They write a lot of songs. As that kept going on, and then when they had other people that wanted them to record them, like their girlfriend's band, Tchotchke,
Yeah.
and the Uniboys, and Danny. I think they only did 2 cuts with Danny, because Danny did his with Fernando, and then he did one across the hall from the Twigs with their friend Paul.
Okay.
I think he's doing one now. But they also did they did another one, but I forgot the name. He goes by one of those.
Oh, is it Thundercat?
No, but they did that too.
They did that one too.
That was in his studio in California. Yeah, so that's even another one. When they've gone to California to do stuff, sometimes Rado from Foxygen will ask them to be musicians on something. Like they did some stuff with Natalie Wiseblood. So they have so much stuff going that now they're at the point where they just want to do their own stuff.
Sure.
That's what they want to do. And it's hard for me to even get them. I did manage to get them to play on this one, All Gathered in One Room. I got Michael to play drums on 6 or 7 songs. We did it in one day because I knew I'd never get him again. But he did a great job. And then Brian did a lead on some rockabilly tune on there. And they had all kinds of suggestions. I suggest stuff to them, and they give me their suggestions when I play stuff. I'd rather have it be a surprise for them when I give them, here's my new album. But they have so many good suggestions. It's after I do everything, I have it's good to have another ear, more objective. And with digital, I'm able to adjust. If they say something like Michael said on a song called A Shot in the Dark, instead of doing the snare on 2 and 4 in the chorus, doom ba, doom doom ba, I hear it on 1, 2, 3, and 4. That, kind of like Satisfaction or Woman or one of those. And so I did it. I could change it easily in digital, and it sounded great. Now, if I make a suggestion to them, that's even if it's like a mix. If I say, I think the vocal could come up a little bit in the mix, unless they still have the mix on their analog board, and they might not even agree with it. But if they did agree, they have the mix on the analog board, then they could do a little bit. But if they've already taken the board off and all they have is a picture of their settings, so I'm a little hesitant. If there's something that isn't critical, I'm not going to make them feel bad and say, "Oh, I hear that." But usually their mixes are great, are fine. So it works out.
Well, I should say, and you're very prolific in your own right with just the amount of work that you have and that have available. But what's so interesting is, the father now taking advice, suggestions from the sons. And, I've seen the guys, when they were kids playing, Beach Boys tunes, and they're obviously taking a lot of what you were teaching them as kids with your record collection and, whatever you had playing around the house. And it shows in your music, it shows in theirs, and definitely with this new record, Uncovered, so many of those songs, again, the folk songs, the Dave Clark 5 type type songs, obviously your collaboration with Michael, it's all kind of just a full circle thing. It has to feel good because, I mean, if anybody looks at your website, you're obviously a proud father because so much of your bio is taken up by your sons and just talking about them. And I think that's like a very just, kind and appropriately boastful way to kind of talk about your sons, to do it through your own website. I think that's really neat.
Well, I was even proud of them when they were kids. I mean, they have quite a resume. When
Yeah.
they were in Broadway shows and movies, and they always loved music the best. They never took the showbiz, the acting stuff very seriously. In fact, they'd be on their way to an audition, and they wouldn't have even read the sides yet. They would read it in the car. Meanwhile, the people they're competing with, their folks got them to practice for God knows how long. But they had a kind of a naturalness about it, which I think the producers liked. They weren't show busy kids.
Sure.
Mm.
And it does come across, and their records. I've seen them live a couple times, and yeah, it comes across as just they're doing it for the love of it. They're not showy about it. They're just putting out good music. And again, I think the same can be said about you and just all the music that you have, and just how you're continuing to put it out and introduce people to new songs that are older songs through your voice and through your playing. And I think that's a really great thing. And so with that, we can talk for a minute after we finish up here, but I just want to wrap it up here. Ronnie, thank you so much for doing this with me. It was a joy, and I encourage everybody to go check out Uncovered. I'm going to have all of your information below in the video so people can go to your site and take a look at all your music and maybe purchase the record. So, Ronnie, thank you so much.
And I appreciate your questions and your knowing the stuff. Are you a musician yourself?
I do. Yeah, I play guitar is the main instrument, but I love mostly acoustic, folky kind of stuff is what I play. But I'm a big fan of power pop, of country music, of rock and roll. So it all kind of comes into the acoustic playing that I do on the guitar.
I got into folk music through the Irish scene, because I got into the Irish scene for a while,
Right.
just by doing sound in an Irish club. And I was never really into folk because I always thought it was too simple, 3-4 chords. And, I'm into music. They're into is words and stuff. And they don't pay much attention to the music, although that's not completely true. But when I heard Irish stuff, acoustic Irish stuff, that for some reason that had something about it, like either the modal stuff or the tunings that they used, that kind of got me into American folk as well. Whereas I put it both together. I didn't used to be into country for the same reason, and then all of a sudden, my wife loved country. She was from Hamilton, Ohio, which is near Kentucky. Her dad was into country. My friend who played pedal steel and fiddle on The Christian Life, Bob Mastro, he got me into country. So it's it has to do with you can't be closed-minded. I love George Jones, who is an amazing singer, and so no matter how much you think you don't always know that.
There's the ending. That's a fantastic thing to close. Everybody, we will see you soon. Take care.
Bye-bye.